Hi, my name is Rod Cleef, and I'm the host of the Lifetime Cash Flow Through Real Estate Investing podcast. And every week I interview multifamily rock stars, and we talk about how they've built incredible wealth for themselves and their families through multifamily properties. So hit the like and subscribe buttons to get notified every Monday when a new episode comes out. Let's get to it. Welcome back to Multifamily Rockstars. So this is where we interview people that are crushing it in this business, and we show you guys the inside scoop into how multifamily investors are creating massive success in their businesses and in their lives. And as always, I've got my co-host, who's the director of our massive action team for our Warrior Mentorship Group, Mark Nagy, on the call. Mark, what's up, brother?
Hey, Rod, not too much. Just been super excited lately. High energy, coming off that boot camp from you last month with 800 plus people. And so we've just been working with a lot of amazing people week after week, and just a lot of good people looking to change their lives. So I'm loving it.
Yeah, no, it's really going well. One of the Warriors closed on a 172 unit yesterday. And we're actually closing on a 269 today. But listen, let's get to our guest. Super cool guy. He joined our Warrior program. We'll have to find out when, but his name's Oliver Fernandez, and he was in the construction business, still in the construction business. When he joined the program, he had 7 units. He now has just under 1,000. So we're going to dig into that. But super nice guy. Got a baby girl. Oliver, welcome to the show, brother.
Hey, Rod, how you doing? I appreciate it, both you and Mark. You said, Mark, you mentioned change your life, and Rod's program totally changed the outlook of my life. I feel like I was just like, I was successful, but I was just like so tunnel vision. And I went to his event, and I was like totally exploded my like vision for like what was possible and what I can do. You know, I really appreciate that too, Rod.
Yeah, no, love it. Now listen, and you're a real force in the Warrior program as well, because you're very motivated and you're motivating other people, which is just so incredible. That group, just everybody's helping each other, but you really go above and beyond on that. But before we go there, give us your story. Talk about, how you started in the real estate business, and even prior to that, and just give us a little background, if you would. Let's go there first.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Rod. So I got into real estate in 2008. I bought my first property. I thought I was going to be this big real estate guy, and it was a condo. And I for me, it was all about growth and just getting better and trying to figure it out. And when I mean that figure it out, it brings you back to my childhood. And I remember I was struggling at baseball, and I grew up with my mom and 3 sisters. So I didn't have someone playing catch with me, throwing line drives to me. So all I did is I used to play catch, throwing the ball up in the air and catching it with one hand and throwing it up in the air and catching it with the other hand. So I remember this one game I had, right? And I was struggling at the time. So just catching stuff. So I was practicing that, throwing up with one hand and catching with the other hand. And then the pitcher stepped to the plate, threw it home, and the batter hit it, and it was coming right to me. And I was running right under it, and I'm my coach is yelling, "Oliver, 2 hands, 2 hands." And the reason why he was doing that is because they always taught to catch the ball with 2 hands. And I didn't have my dad around, so I didn't have someone throwing the ball to me. I was throwing it with one hand, and I was catching it with the other. So I get under the thing, and I catch it with one hand, and then I throw it home, and I get the guy out at home. So that's just kind of been my whole thing in life, is just kind of figuring it out, learning and growing. And yeah, there's mistakes, but just keep moving forward. So that condo that I first bought, I made so many mistakes in that property. It's unbelievable. First off, I bought it and it was fully renovated, and I'm a construction guy. And I bought a fully renovated property at the top of the market in 2008. So you can only imagine the pain that I went through just 6 months later, with the thing dropping, my first deal, and then all the equity that I thought I was going to have in the property was immediately gone. I was renting the prop. I rented out one of the rooms, which actually kind of saved me on the property. So I was my first real taste of oh, wow, someone can help pay the mortgage down, and allowed me to pay the mortgage down, but also have a little bit of residual income, because I wanted to send money home to my mom. That was my big goal there. So, that was my first deal. And then I moved from, buying that condo to being an agent. I wanted to, I thought that I could shake things up being a rental agent in New York City. I was like, all right, my job is paying me 50 grand a year, which is peanuts living in New York City. I'm like, if I can just do one deal a week or one deal, was it one deal? Yeah. One deal a week at $1,000, I'll be able to like have all my time back and make money. And, I ended up doing like, 100 grand that year, but it killed me. It was like brutal.
So rental agent. So you're talking about leasing like retail space or office space or things like that?
It was actually in New York City. You can actually,
was it residential?
It was the residential.
Oh, so no kidding. Okay.
You get 1 month rent, or you can even get 15% of a month, so like you can make, there's some higher price things there, like 5 grand, 6 grand, all the way down to like $2,000. So like, you can make a living doing it.
Oh yeah, no. People do that in Miami as well. I wasn't. It didn't click with me. So please continue. So you were a rental agent. You made a good year. So what happened?
Rental
after
agent.
That?
Yeah, I made 100 grand. I was like, oh man, I could see myself continuing to grow this, but like I am absolutely shot. Like, so I'm like, instead of making all these landlords rich here in New York City, I'm gonna start and make myself rich. So I was starting to look around for properties where I could do some development. And like buy it and renovate it and do similar to what the landlords.
Were you already a GC at that point?
No, I was still in New York City. So I knew I couldn't afford something in New York City. So I was looking in like New Jersey area. And then I was also considering DC. But then when I started to look at like the taxes, I was like, wow, in New Jersey, I'm going to be paying 15 grand in taxes, but I can buy that same exact property in DC and be paying 3,000 in taxes. Let me go down there. So I bought my first property down in DC and started doing like a renovation value add. And I created a ton of value at the property. And it was actually when I was there on that property, I was in the back alleyway. And I know a lot of, parents are like, don't talk to strangers, don't talk to strangers. But my parents, like, my mom, she was more of like the teacher type, but so she was like a little bit she was very outgoing, but we didn't really have a lot of people around. But my dad was more of a business guy. So there was always strangers around because there was employees, there was team members, there was partners. So I got familiar with talking with strangers. And I met this stranger in the alleyway, right? Older gentleman, like 88 years old. And he's like asking me about my renovation and all the value and the things I was doing to the neighborhood. And he's just, telling me all the horror stories that actually happened at the property. And he's like, do you mind if I come in? And I was like, yeah, of course. So I showed him my property. And as we were talking, he let me know he owned a couple properties down the street. And, when I mean down the street, I meant like, 4 or 5 houses down.
Sure.
And as we were talking further, he was looking to sell them. He was looking to get out of the city. He was looking to move back to his home in Virginia full time. And these were properties where they were single family homes, but I can convert them into duplexes.
Oh, nice.
So I knew I wanted to get into, multi-tenant stuff because I with that condo situation, I knew the pain that I had when that one tenant left, that no one was paying my rent. No one was paying my mortgage, all things that you emphasize at the boot camp, like multi-units, multi-cash flow, like it's much better than just buying that single unit. Right. So, I bought that. I ended up, talking with him about the, that row home. Right. And, we ended up working out a deal where he owner financed it to me. So nice. I was like 22 years old. And now I was like, I bought that property and the property right next door. So the guy owner financed $1 million worth of property to me, and I had no credit. I had nothing, Wow. Only thing I did is I had like, I ended up working out a deal with him where it was like 5% down. And then like, I would get him the remaining in like 2 years. And like, it all worked out. And I ended up putting like 7 units there. And, I started to see the power of multifamily. And then I came across your podcast and I saw the boot camp and I was like, I got to go to that because I was
Which one did you go to? Did you go to Baltimore?
I went to Chicago.
Oh, Chicago. Okay.
I flew. I was like, wow, this is amazing. Cause I was literally like weeks or months away from making a big investment into like another piece of development, land to develop. And like when your podcast, you were telling me about, wow, I could I could get cash flow day one. I could have all this Fannie Freddie debt. I could have, hundreds of tenants already in there. And then I could also feed that construction bug by like doing the value add as the people or the tenants were moving out. Sure. And I was like, wow, I got to go see what this is all about. This is good. And I got
and it was all downhill from there, right?
No, it was all uphill. Honestly, it was all uphill. Honestly, like even like the gratitude stuff that you talked about at the event, I still do that stuff to this day, man. I just like, I swear, like I was so tunnel vision. I was just like stuck, and I like left that event and my whole life just exploded.
Oh, that's kind of you to say that, brother. Thank you. So let me ask you this. Let's come forward to today.
Yep.
And, you've got just under 1,000 doors.
Yep.
I'm assuming you've got a team put together that you and some other people, or you and another person. Is that right?
Yeah, no, yeah. I work. So I have on my team, I have a director of finance. Because I also own a construction company as well.
Okay.
So
it's the same team. It's the same team from your construction business.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I know you've got a very successful construction business. I think you've done over $60 million worth of work. You work with the Navy. Mm-hmm. I mean, so which is of course incredible framework for, construction in general is incredible framework for what it is that we do. You've got someone helps with finance. You're the one that does the investor relations and all that business then?
So he also helps with investor relations as well.
Does. Okay.
So he handles the numbers. So he walks the people through. But I have grown into being a person that can, build the relationships and have influence and can raise money, because like that wasn't always the case. I was once like a shy kid, stayed small, just kept everything to myself, didn't really share much. And I just had to get out of that mentality because it was just holding me back in just so many areas of life, and I built into being that person that can raise money and do and offer other value adds to my partners,
Love it. Well, Oliver, obviously you're almost at 1,000 doors today, getting started with 7 doors, but when you got into multifamily, what was your initial definition of success? And then, after getting into it now today, has your definition of success in multifamily, has it changed?
Yeah. Well, I remember I was sitting down with my my father-in-law, and this isn't a small goal, but like I was telling him, like, I just want to buy one property a year that nets me $5,000, and I'll do that for 10 years. That'll be 50,000. That's $50,000 a month, and that's $600,000 a year. So that was my definition of success. And I was on that track. I was, buying my singles and converting them into duplexes, triplexes. But what I found is that like I was the one doing everything. I was the one killing myself, like trying to figure it out. I didn't have a team at that point. I was doing everything on my own, going back to that figuring it out thing, like back when I grew up, and that was holding me back. It was really holding me back. And then now, like after the event and, really digging into the Warrior program and meeting such other good, strong, when I mean by strong, I mean like analytical, people that were hardworking, committed, confident, courageous people in the Warrior program, I started to build out my team, and then I started to think about like what more I could do. And honestly, when I came together with other Warriors, it was like, it wasn't 1 + 1 = 2. It was like 1 + 1 = like 7, because there was like the dream got so much bigger together than it did when I was by myself.
Oh, that's nice of you to say.
Yeah.
But by the way, guys, if you are interested in that program, the Warrior program, and you'd like to apply, text the word crush to 72345, and we'll set up a call with our team. And just, we want to make sure you're a fit for us, and you'll make sure we're a fit for you. But again, that's crush to 72345. So let me ask you this. You've created a team. What were some of the challenges that you went through, getting, I'm sure there was a lot of stress, more zeros. You're talking about 1,000 doors. Those are larger properties. Talk about some of the challenges you encountered and how you overcame them, or, pick one or two,
Yeah. So honestly, it's It's been eye-opening from, picking the partners, because like when I say I've had a bad situation with a partner, it was actually my dad. So when I first started McKinsey Construction, the construction company that I own, I started that with my dad. So I had the understanding and the experiences of a bad partnership. So, and what I mean by bad partnership, when we broke that company apart and like he went his way and I went my way, we were $500,000 in the hole. So I've had that experience of a bad partnership. I've also had experiences of good partners, because I partnered with another gentleman that had been doing Navy construction projects, and it got me out of that $500,000 hole, and then went on to make, complete $60 million worth of contracts. So I knew what a good partner looked like, and I knew what a bad partner looked like. So then moving forward into multifamily, and this is what my definition of success looks like, is like having teams of people, like, and having, and not just teams of people, but people that want to go somewhere together, So like I found those partners, and honestly, like it was a great fit because I was really good at construction. They were really good at, asset management. The other person was really good at the numbers. So like we all kind of fit in weirdly. It was kind of cool. So like I don't really have anything bad to say about the partnership. Like, honestly, was there struggles on the deal? Yeah, we had struggles on the deal. We had cash flow issues because this was a deep value add. This was a 152 unit property that we bought, and there was 30 down units when he first took over the property.
Wow.
So, and we financed a lot of that. That construction through the lender.
Right.
So you can imagine just you finish the construction, then you put the draw on, and it's not like we're their favorite client where they're just like, hey, yeah, let me just pay that draw. There's a little bit of delay there.
Just let me elaborate on that, just for those of you listening. So when, you can absolutely finance construction with different loan products, but they're going to hold the money until you make that draw request. And sometimes, they'll have to inspect, and that could take some time. And if you need that cash to pay people that are working on the property, you can see where you can get into a little bit of a crunch. I want to talk about partnership for just a moment, because you brought it up, and we've got a resource you can get for free, guys. It's questions to ask when forming a partnership. And you've heard me say it. If you haven't heard me say it before, let me say it again. Partnerships are easy to get into like a marriage, but they're hard to get out of. Okay. And so if you want that book, text the word partnership to 72345, and we'll give it to you. It's all the questions you need to ask up front so you don't make mistakes. Because, I've had issues with family members as well, like you did, Oliver, and it's no fun, because you still got to meet each other at Thanksgiving and Christmas and everything else. So, it makes it very, very challenging. But if you ask all the hard questions up front, it really minimizes that. Like, I'm forming a new partnership with an awesome guy right now, Scott. And we went through this book together, and we're having an agreement drawn up based on what we went through. So again, if you want that, text partnership to 72345. But I also want to mention something else you talked about, which is peer group. So you were talking about people in the Warrior program heading the same direction. They're motivated. They want what you want. They're not afraid of what you want. They're inspired and motivated by your success, not held back by it. So, guys, whether you get in our program or not, get around people that want more, that are going to hold you to a higher standard and inspire you. And, it's that rising tide lifts all ships. Would you agree with that, Oliver?
Yeah. Rising tides lifts all ship. Yeah, 100%. And honestly, like, you think about it, when you're going after these big goals, you need energy to go after these big goals. And you're not going to have all the energy yourself. But You always say, like, I'd rather have 10 people working on one problem than one person working on 10 problems. When I heard you say that, I was like,
Yeah. Anytime we have an issue in my company, the big decision, we pull the whole team together, because it's that whole mastermind concept. You put two like minds together, they create this third intangible third mind that's greater than the sum of the parts.
Yeah. Totally.
Well, and it also just gives you the confidence to do it. I see this even for myself in the Warrior group, is you literally just see other normal, everyday people getting out there, crushing their goals. You could listen to podcasts like these and easily think, oh, he's a multimillionaire now, and he's done this now, and he's done that. But you look at these people that just have regular jobs, they've got kids, they've got families, and 4 years later or 3 years later, they got 1,000 doors and their lives are changed. It makes it a lot easier for you to get out there and take action when you see it, right? And that's why I always say your network equals your net worth, right? That's really where that comes into play.
Mark, I couldn't agree more with you. Now that you brought that up, that reminded me of, so when I first started my construction business, I would go to these vendor outreach events, and I was like struggling. I would like, it was bad. I mean, being $500,000 in the hole is not a good spot to be in, right? But I would go to these vendor outreach events, and I would do my market research before, and I knew who the players were. I knew who the companies that were getting like multi-million-dollar contracts. And when I would go to these events, I would see them there. And I'd be like, oh my God, that's that person. And in my mind, I blew them up to be like the president of the United States, but they were just like these normal people, and they were there, and I could touch them and ask them questions, and they would, they weren't that smart. I was like, oh my God. So that same exact thing happened in multifamily. That exact same process I modeled in multifamily. I got into the Warrior program, and I'm like, dude, this guy has 1,000 units. This guy has 4,000 units. Like, and
he ain't got nothing on me.
Great. Like, I can do it. If they can do it, I can do it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. Love it.
That's what's so great about real estate, though, is it's been done so many times before us. You don't have to be a genius. You have to do what other people have done. That's the cool thing about it. And that's my favorite part.
You're not taking action. You're just sitting back, and you're just like letting your mind go off in the wrong way. You're imagining these people as like untouchables. And that's what happens. Like when you go to those events and you're there and you're immersed with it, and then you sign up with the Warrior program, and you're there on a weekly basis, and you're seeing it, and it's tangible to you. It means so much to you. Like you just start to become that other person that you've always wanted to be.
Yeah, totally agree, man. Totally agree. And I think, that's a big part of success there. So for you, Oliver, what would you say is your most favorite and then your least favorite part about this business?
Yeah, honestly, it goes back to like just the work, right? So like when I first got into the business, right? And I'm saying I first got into the business, like I've been in real estate for 12 years, but in multifamily specifically the last 3 years, right? There's a lot of work that needs to get done, right? And when I first got in, I was part of that person that was getting a lot of that work done. Like we bought that 152 unit property. We're executing on those 30 down units. Like you had to be there, you had to be present. I mean, you're dealing with crews, painters, HVAC people, electricians. And, with any renovation, there's always going to be problems, like you're trying to make elevations match. You're trying to make a building that's 30 years old level, and there's issues, So like, that's the hardest part is the work, like getting that done and getting the nitty gritty details lined up so that you can be successful. So that's like the hard part. And then as you continue to grow and you see what other partners are able to do, like, I saw my partners, awesome at like talking to investors and being able to raise money. And then like, I tried to model that framework and make my own relationships with people. So like, I love that part about the business, because like at that point you're really helping and changing people's lives by like getting them into the business and getting them into those deals that provide tremendous returns for people. And then they're not just returns on the front end, but then you get like all these tax advantages and benefits from all the depreciation that real estate investors get. So it's a double whammy. So like my best part is like, helping other investors get into multifamily real estate. And then the hard part is obviously like getting the work done. I mean, and everybody's got to do it, but, and then honestly, it teaches you the game. It teaches you the business. You got to start there with like getting your hands dirty and seeing how the business works. Because honestly, that's the confidence that I use, that I gain getting my hands dirty when I go raise money.
Let me ask you this. How did you overcome the fear initially, of going after a larger deal like that? Speak to that for a moment, because I know a lot of listeners that fear comes into play. Fear comes into play for me. It comes into play for everybody. How did you push through it?
Yeah. Yeah, that's a really good question, Rod. And for me, like the way I overcame that fear of, because I was the guy that was investing in duplexes, and like, um, and honestly doing everything on my own. I had to actually like go to the site and just see it and be on it and just to feel it and just be like, oh, this is real, this is tangible. And then I had to get around really good people, right? And then as I got around really good people that had a track record, another thing that I used from my relationships with like partners, like the bad ones, I knew that they were like used to be's. They used to be's don't have no honey. Like they used to be good at something, right? So I want someone who's right here, right now, getting results in today's market. And when I'm talking with that person, they're giving me confidence. They're helping me overcome my fear of, and fear really comes in when you don't know something, right? So if that person can help you see the potential, and you can let your mind like relax for a moment and go to that place where you can see the potential, then you can see what the opportunity is, instead of focusing on what bad could happen or what bad could go wrong,
Yeah.
You can. And by the way, just really quickly on that topic of, going out and kind of touching and feeling it and going to the properties, for people that can't necessarily do that, whether they're just they don't live in a good market, or maybe they're just a little nervous to go out and, actually make the phone calls, just do it locally. Pop on LoopNet. I've done this even myself. Go around, look for deals just in your current area. You don't have to be a buyer, but just go out there and touch it and feel it and talk to people and learn. And then when you're going to go under contract or LOI for that big property somewhere else, or you're going to fly out or drive out to do it, you're going to feel a lot more confident.
Yeah.
Right. And that's a big piece of it, jumping into it. But Oliver, I want to hit you with one more here. What would you say to the listeners who know that they want to do this business, they want to get into it, but they haven't taken action yet? What's some advice you'd give to them?
So everybody wants to be a beast until it's time to do what beasts do. And then like, what do beasts do? They take one step at a time. And it's like, it's literally that simple when you really start to think about it. It's not easy. I get it. Life happens. Things are pulling you from here to there, but it's literally that simple, where it's like, what can I do today that's going to move me one step forward? What can I do tomorrow that's going to move me one step forward? And so all these little bricks that you stack on, and all of those decisions that are the good decisions that are continuing to build your career in this space. And it's one day after the next, and doing it over and over and over again. And then 3 years, you look back and you're like, oh my gosh, I accomplished all of that. But yeah,
Great answer, man. Great freaking answer. Sorry I interrupted, but that was really good, buddy. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just those little steps, man. That's how you make this happen. In fact, there's a quote from Will Smith about building a wall that kind of ties into what you said. And I'm going to have to go look at it. It's about putting that first brick and you're good into the next brick. And that was just a great analogy. I want to ask the question that I always ask the hitters that come on the show here, just because I want you guys to keep hearing it. If you could go back and tell your 20-year-old self something, what might you do differently?
So if I could go back, I would tell myself, so like when I was growing up, my mom used to love QVC. And I remember like leaving my room and walking down to her room, and I used to hear the music they used to play, and I would just like, I would go in and she'd be like watch with this big smile watching QVC, and like she would basically be buying stuff from this QVC, and then we get the knock on the door, we get the packages. So like I was like petrified of debt when I first when I was growing up, because I knew like debt could be a bad thing if you use it the wrong way. So I was like one of those guys that told myself I would never have a credit card. If I buy anything, it's always going to be cash. Right. But like what I've realized is that debt is extremely, extremely powerful. Mm-hmm. And especially when you use it to buy assets that can change your life. Yeah. So honestly, if I could tell my old self, that I would tell myself to buy more assets that I could apply debt to, that would eventually, my tenants would be paying down my debt, and then they would just continue to grow my net worth and grow my cash flow and grow all the things that we all want in life that provide for our families, my wife, my daughter, my sisters,
Nice.
Yeah, that's what I would tell myself.
Nice, brother. Nice. Now you've got a new podcast. Let me give it a shout out. What's the name of it, buddy?
It's The Imperfect Entrepreneur.
The Imperfect Entrepreneur, which is every entrepreneur is imperfect.
Yeah, exactly. No one's perfect, right? You got to just keep moving forward and chipping away at it.
I love it, brother. It is great to see your smiling face, my friend. I appreciate you adding value here on the show, and hope to see you when the world opens up and we can do a live event again. I know you'll be there. But anyway, it's great to see you, my friend. Give that little girl a hug for me, and I'm sure we'll talk soon, brother.
Rod and Matt, Mark, I appreciate you guys so much. I really do. I appreciate the opportunity. Honestly, I do.
All right. Good to see you, Oliver. Mark, I'll see you later, buddy. All right, guys.
See you guys.
See you.
Rod, I know a lot of our listeners are wanting to take their multifamily investing business to the next level. Now, I know you've been hard at work helping our Warrior students do just that using our ACT methodology, which is awareness, close, and transform. Can you explain to the listeners how they can get our help?
You bet. Guys, we've been going nonstop for 3 years, building an amazing community of like-minded people. And our coaching students, which we call our Warriors, have had extraordinary results. They've purchased thousands and thousands of units. And last year, we did over 1,000 units with our students. And we're looking to grow this group and take it to the next level. We're looking for people who want to follow a proven framework that's really step by step, and then leverage our systems and network to raise equity, to find and close deals, and to build partnerships nationwide. Now, our Warrior community is finding success in any market cycle. So if you're interested in finding out more about how you can become more of our incredible network and take advantage of the incredible opportunities that are coming very soon, apply to work with us at mentorwithrod.com or text CRUSH to 41411. That's mentorwithrod.com or text CRUSH to 41411.